Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's Client Product Update Webinar. My name is Rosalie. Welcome to everyone. We're just going to wait a couple of seconds to let everybody join in, and then we'll get started. All right. Perfect. Okay, let's get started. I see people have joined. All right, so today, March Product Update Webinar for Client. We are talking about current version 50.1.2, as you can see on the screen today. My name is Rosalie, and I'm a Customer Success Manager at Client, and I'll be your host today. As always, we also have Yanick, our CEO. Hi, Yanick.
Bonjour, Rosalie. Spring today. It's a perfect day for having a webinar.
Yeah, really hot in Montreal today right now. And finally, we got someone new joining today as our moderator. So we have Isabel from our customer success team as well, who will be answering your question in the Q&A and chat. So let's go to the next slide, how to be a great webinar participant. As always, just make sure you participate to our polls when we launch them. Use the react button to let us know how you feel about everything we're saying. And you can use the chat and Q&A to ask questions. We will try as much as possible to answer during the webinar. If not, we'll follow up with you afterwards. Let's fire off this webinar with our very first poll already. As always, we want to know, is this your first client webinar? Yes. No, I'm a regular. No, I've been to a couple. It's always nice to see new faces. Well, we don't see you, but we feel your presence. So I'll give you a couple of seconds to answer, and then we'll be moving on to our agenda. All right, so first today we'll be covering new features and improvements that were released in version 50.1.2 that was released earlier this week, so just on Tuesday, so very, very fresh. We'll also discuss what's coming up on our next release, so product roadmap, and then we'll finish by announcing a new initiative that is now live to help you contribute more to our product roadmap. And then conclusion, best practices at the end. Perfect. Thank you for voting, everyone. All right. So in terms of features that we will be covering today, we'll be talking about task filters in my deadlines. We also have a couple of really fun features in the workspace. We always have things in the workspace to help you work faster and view information better. Then we have a couple of features in the resource planner. This release, we actually have more than a couple. And finally, we'll talk about resource utilization, something new there. So Yanick, shall we get started with that?
Absolutely. So let's start with the My Deadline task filter. So we've been, as you know, we've released My Deadlines a few releases ago. And in My Deadlines now, we've brought back some of the filtering mechanisms. So let me open up My Deadlines. As you recall, you can drop that page directly on the home screen if you wanted to. You can also access it from the main menu. The addition in this specific release, it's about that filtering. So the same that we have filter on pretty much all our interface, the planner, the workspace, the Kanban. Now we have those on the My Deadline page too. So out of the box, there's a few of those pre-configured filter that are showing. The first one we can look at, for example, it's the task status. So if I just want to see my different tasks that are in progress across my different project that have deadlines upcoming in the next few weeks or this week, I'm going to be able to just use those filtering like that. But also you can create your own filtering. So for example, this one I've created, it's called I or block task. So where the priority is I and the status is block, and I created a or condition. So it's not an and condition, so it's one or the other. So if we're taking a look on how this is built, let me just edit it. So you can see that I have my priority equals I, my status equal block. And you can even build, for those that didn't know that, you can build your own filter logic. So in this case, it's an or. By default, it's an and. So if I would not have that filter logic, it would just give me the I and block task. In this case, I have or. If you want to add a filter, it's as simple as just clicking add filter. And let's say you want to have something about only looking at billable tasks, you could just set it up like this and save it. And then it would take that into account. In this case, I would need to modify my filter logic to add another condition on top. So this is the way that this filtering works. So if I go back to my default value, which is my work, then I'm seeing back all my tasks that have a deadline approaching or overdue task.
Perfect.
So this is the latest improvement on my deadline page. So let me go back to our slide and move to the next functionality. So this one you voted as your favorite feature, Rosalie, the wrap cell content.
Yeah, wrap cell content and copy pasting task. I think I've been talking about copy pasting since I joined.
And while for me, it's the zoom in, zoom out. So it's kind of a, we all have our own favorite. So let's look at that. Let's start with that wrapping of the different text columns that we have in the system. So this works on both the global workspace and the project workspace on a specific project. So you can see here, for example, if I'm expanding one of my project here, the Smile Agile Custom Development, this is the default behavior that you've been seeing in the past. You can see that description that I have here. You only see the first line and a little bit of the next one below. But now you can right-click on the header and do wrap for any kind of text field. So now you can see a lot more across your project and throughout your different tasks to see the detail of this. And you can resize and move things around, and it's gonna do applying that wrap columns. And as you can do it as well on any other text field. Let's say you do have tasks that are very long, task names that are very long. This can be also another field that you can wrap. And the cool thing, Rosalie, as you like to point out, right? Those are going to be saved.
The red asterisks. When you see the red asterisks, it means you made some change to your preset. So then you can, of course, save that as your preset. So next time you have this all wrapped up. This is a really quick win in terms of like after today's webinar, you go upgrade, you just update those columns that have more text, and then you just save your presets again. Takes you a couple of minutes, and then you already get value from this new upgrade. So I like to do
and
it.
this work, like I said, on a pure text field, task name, long text field, rich text area. So I know you're using the next step column or field quite often. So just go ahead and do that. We've upgraded our production environment, so we can now play with this on our own org. So now let me open up that specific Smile Agile custom project, and I'm going to switch my preset now. Let's look at the timeline execution. So I'm going to bring the timeline so we can talk about the zoom in, zoom out. So this is a functionality that I've been waiting for a little while because first, when you have a very long project, it was difficult to see that project in the past. So now this is going to help you do this. And again, in terms of ease of use and in terms of speed, it's all about being able to see your project at a glance. So now we've brought those two icons here on top, so you can easily zoom out or zoom in within the interface. And on top of just using those, you can even use the control with your wheel. So control and the wheel for zooming out or zooming in. So you can do it on the Mac, I believe it's a common key. So you can do that. For those who didn't know that, you could also use the shift and the wheels to move from left to right. So this is another way that you can easily just with your keyboard and mouse, instead of clicking, that you can move your project around. So this is a definite win to be able to see and focus more on your project very fast. On top, what we did is that we introduced two more options in your calendars for the scaling. So now we have years. So again, like I said, this is a pretty small project. It's only a few months. So we don't see the purpose of having it on a year format, but you can see that now you have multiple year, and I could even zoom out more if I wanted to see more. And we have also quarters, so that's going to bring you a grouping between your Jan and March in this case, so you can easily switch between all our current view that we had in the past. And now we've introducing more of those scales for having a better visibility across your project.
Yeah, and once again, the zoom granularity is retained when you save your preset. So
Absolutely. And I think it's worth mentioning as well, another functionality we have in the system. So for example, you see I have more columns here in my system, and depending on my zoom level, so let's say I'm going to zoom in, whoops, this is my browser zoom. Let me just zoom back. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more in my project plan. And when I do the export, so that icon here on the right side, whatever format I decide, in this case, I'm going to generate a PDF. And let me just open up that PDF. Oops. So by generating, depending on the scales you have and the column you see, it's going to generate that specific project plan. So in this case, I was pretty much zoomed in, but I could have done the same thing with a lot more zoomed out. Let's say I'm going back to my quarterly view and export it. Now it's going to take really that scale and the column on the left side as well in terms of what I'm seeing. So now you can see that I have a bit cleaner project plan, but the export is also following this zoom in, zoom out ratio that we've put in.
yeah, and this is feedback we get a lot from customers that they're exporting and not quite finding the right view. So it's probably a couple of tests you can run after and just play with those different ones. And of course, if you save those as presets, then next time you need to share that with a customer, you just go to your preset. You don't have to set it up every time. So
exactly. So this is the zoom in, zoom out functionality. So the other one I want to show, it's the copy paste. So depending on the use case, there's different use case for copy and pasting. In this specific example, for example, I have my epics and my user stories that I need to develop, and I have a few of those here that are blank. And let's say in my project template, I could have those as blank item. And now what you can do is that first you can do it via the right click button. So I can just select multiple cells with my control or my shift controller on my keyboard. And then if I right click and I do paste, I have two options. So first, we're going to use the paste all task field. So by doing this, it's going to bring several information. First, you saw that the sprint is still the same. My description came in, my duration came in. So there's a lot of different fields that are being copied from that original task. One caveat though is, and you can see as well that the duration on the right side as follow. One caveat though is that we're pasting on a flat level, because depending, you could have taken several tasks across all your section or in your parent task. So for simplicity, we're just pasting on a one level, so at a flat level. So if I just want to re-indent back, I can just again use a different keyboard option, but I could re-indent and then those with my keyboard and properly map my parent of my child task. This way, I'm messing up now my stuff, but the idea is that you can play around with that paste, copy and paste. The other option, you can do the keyboard as well. So you can do Control-C, Control-V. So I still have my task copy. So now I'm going to do Control-V on my keyboard. And now let me just paste the name. So now you can see that everything is blank. My duration is as default to the default value, and there's no description. So those are the two options that we're providing for copy and pasting tasks, either several details of the task or just the task name to suit your need of copy and pasting.
yeah, and if I can add something, because I see a question in the chat where we're asking if you can copy paste from different projects, which you can. So it's the same. I don't know if you want to show that quickly, Yanick.
Needs to be in the same browser though, but besides that, yes, you can copy across different projects.
Yeah, and I invite everybody, if you're looking into that functionality, the copy pasting, to review the release notes after the webinar. We've included a list of all the things that don't get copied over, so at least you can review that. And when you're copy pasting, you're doing it with full trust that you understand some things like financials and anything that has to do with the logged hours is not copied over. So just to keep in mind. And then one thing as well,
and also the parenting, like I said, and some of that linkage, because we didn't want to mess the planner. This may be something that we eventually can revisit, and if we're going to talk about ideas at the end of this webinar. So if you want more stuff to be copied over, we can have that discussion and revisit that functionality at a later time.
Yeah, and one thing to keep in mind, so the copy pasting, really nice. There may be other options for you if copy pasting is not the one. For example, you may be better off using our task templates for certain things. So task templates that will keep those dependencies and checklists and all that. So just keep in mind you have task templates as an option as well. And another thing I think would be nice to show, Yanick, is let's say you want to copy a specific task multiple times. Maybe it's a specific event and you're copy pasting it like 10 times because it happens every month. We actually have a functionality for that that you can use. So maybe it's a good opportunity to show that right now. So the repeat functionality, Yanick, maybe?
Yeah, so for example, I have this specific task here, validation session, that let's say I want to do it every week, and instead of copy pasting 12 times, you have an option here on the task panel called repeat. If it's not there, it might be one of your custom settings that needs to be updated, and it's giving you the option of defining that recurring pattern. So in this case, let's say I want to do a weekly, every week on Tuesday, I want to create that specific task. And we're going to start from this week and or from next week and for the next 3 or 4 weeks. Let me just pick a date. And then by saving it, it's going to create in the background those tasks within the system. And now if I just refresh, I should see those tasks showing up in my project plan. And you will see on the timeline side that those tasks have been placed in time. So you see all those validation sessions have been created automatically with that proper range of date that I've selected and that weekly occurrence. So you can easily repeat those tasks. And again, if you want to move a lot of things at the same time, you can always do this too, right? So this is something that people didn't know, but you can select multiple tasks and move them in a bunch. Depending on their hierarchy. Sometimes you cannot move if it's across different sections, but when it's on a flat level like that, it always work. So that recurring task, it's another cool feature when it's time to do some repetitive work and you don't want to do too many copy and paste.
You definitely got options.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so this is some of the improvement that we have on the workspace. Now let's move on to that resource planner and functionality that we've added. So we've added a few, so columns, wrap project name, time off, self-fund coloring, actual hours display on the task level, and a new filtering options on the project assignment statuses. So let me go back to my demo environment and open up my global resource planner. This works on both the global resource planner and the project planner. So as you recall from one of the previous webinar, we've have one code base now for our two planners. So everything we develop on one, you have access usually on the other one too. In this specific case, now I'm looking at my professional service team, and let's say I want to see a lot more weeks in here. I could now select between 1 and 31 any columns that I want to see in the system. So now I'm missing 13 weeks or a full quarter of resource allocation or resource utilization for across my different projects and resources. Rosalie, what we have here, we have a small
You gotta
asterisk.
save it as a preset.
So you can save the number of column in your preset. Mine is going to default back to 6 when I'm going to come back. This being said, you can we also introduced it in the day view. In the day view, it was fixed to 31 in the past. Now you can select the number of days that you want to see. So let me maybe select 3 days. And another functionality is that you can click here on the calendar and then really pick the day that you want the specific day that you want to zoom in on. Before it was just like at the beginning of the week or at the beginning of the month. Now you can really specify where you want to start. And another small improvement, but for me it's marvelous because before it was moving the entire block from left to right. So now it's just moving per one day when you hitting those arrow here on top. So here you can see it's Thursday. And when I'm hitting that, it's going to do Friday instead. Before it was doing the entire week. So it was difficult to just move something from one week to the other week or from one day to the other day. Now with that functionality, it helps a lot in terms of moving your different block of scheduling to a specific week or or days, depending on your scale that you're selected here on the left side.
Yeah, and those as well can be exported, that view as well, similar to the workspace. So you can set specific presets and then you can also export them. So lots more flexibility there.
So those are a few of the options in terms of the scaling. The other thing that we want to be looking at, it's some of the, again, usability or visibility. So first, if I'm expanding our Roxanne Green here in that environment, so you can see here that I have a very long project name with way too many characters. So now it's wrapping those long names. So before it was just cutting it. Now you can see the entire project name, even it's a way too long title for a project, but now you can see the entire content of it. Another great thing is that the color coding is now dynamic. So before it was purely, you can change the color here, right? If you recall that we have a color setup. And before you could only have black as the font. Now you can see we have white here. And if I'm expanding as well, one of my other items, this means that you can now put darker color in the planner. Because now it's not only black, it's going to dynamically know if the color is darker, so it's going to switch to white when the color is a bit too dark. And in terms of the time off, I think you voted as one of your favorite, Rosalie. So
Yep.
in this case, you can see that Roxanne has some time off coming next week for a long weekend with her family. But you can see that Lou doesn't have that time offline. Before, it was always showing that time offline, even if you didn't have any time off. Now, for sake of really, again, focusing on the proper thing and removing the noise, we have removed lines that of time off that don't have any time off within the range you're looking at. So if I was looking at the 31 columns, I would see more. But in this specific case, I only see it when it's within my 6 week of my project here.
Yeah, and if I can add something, just best practice / reminder, if you are leveraging the resource planner and you're not using our time off functionality, you definitely should, because otherwise you're missing out on that visibility. So if you haven't set that up yet and you want to know more about it, we actually have an e-learning course on it, or you can reach out to support, but we definitely encourage you to leverage the time off feature. So that's a little disclaimer
And
here.
if you don't like your color scheme that you have presently, take a screenshot and then go here in the menu color mapping for the admins, and then you can change the color mapping of pretty much all the information that you see here. Now the other functionality I want to showcase, it's we have a toggle we had in the past, but display actual hours. But now it's also showing it first. There's a new icon that represents that hours log. So now it's easier to see and differentiate the assignment or the scheduling versus what got logged. But also now we have it on the task level. Before it was purely on the project level. Now you can see it as well on the task level. We're bringing other functionality eventually. We're going to have it on the resource level too on the top. But now you can easily see those hours based on what has been logged within the system. So in this case, I've worked 2 hours on that provide documentation, 3 hours on that initial configuration. And again, this can be saved in the preset, and it's a toggle that you can do on and off in terms of if you want to see it or not. And the last functionality I want to show, it's the filtering on the project statuses. But just to give a bit more context maybe, so let's look at Kanta here. So we have Kanta Jade, that she's involved on 2 projects. First thing I want to point out, since we're talking about color a lot, you can see here this one is blue while this one is pink. So this means that the project, they are in a different status. In this specific case, this blue means that, well, sorry, I'm misclicking. Right, the project status is in progress. And in this specific case, the project status is in pipeline, meaning that we haven't sold yet that specific project, but we still want to plan to have Kanta doing it. But it's not sure that she's going to be doing it because it hasn't been sold. It's in pipeline. And the color coding on the right side here also means something, and you can refer to this legend here to know it. So again, this is the project assignment status color, and you can see that the pink one means pipeline. You could have soft book, and closed. Also, this is what we're going to see. So we can see that the Kenta here on the week of the 24th of March is 115% of our capacity for 46 hours, 62 year. But now with our new functionality, you can really zoom in on only the project that are, or the assignment status that are in a specific status. In this case, let's look at only the booked statuses, and you can multiple stack those. But just by doing this, now it's going to filter out the list, and now we can see that a really true effective project, if the other one don't close, she's more around 45%, so 18 hours, meaning that we need to provide her a bit more work to work on, or we absolutely need to close that project to make sure that our people in Kenta is busy for the next few weeks. So this should help as well to really understand better if your people are booked or soft booked, or if some of your projects are in pipeline. For the pipeline approach, you could have also just took the status of the project because you also have the project status that is available, but you can also look at the booking status of your specific resources.
Yeah, can be a little bit confusing difference between project status and project assignment status, but
project status is the old project. So when you're looking at the project, is the project one in progress or blocked,
yep,
at risk, while the project assignment status is really the individual within your project. Are they booked, soft book? Is it the project that you want to play in pipeline? Oh, I want to show you as well. So if I'm just removing my filter here, this is being controlled on the project assignment itself. So if I open up this here and I press the pen, you can edit your resource, for example, and then you can see that the status here is pipeline, soft book, book. So in this specific case, let me put it to book. And now you can see that the color has changed, and now she's officially booked, and it's mainly a status for representation, but you can build automation on top if you want to really send it to a notification or things like that. That now the status of that project assignment has switched to booked.
perfect. Lots of things in a resource planner. I feel like that's the release with most things, most little small things.
Yeah. This was our commitment, right, to really improve that
Yep.
resource planner, and we're not stopping there. We have still a lot of other stuff that we're going to be building in the next few releases.
Perfect.
Let's move to the next one.
Yeah, our last one.
So the other functionality that we've added, so it's the resource utilization. So this is a resource utilization is an object that's being created in different ways. You can have a routine that's running a daily or weekly routine that's going to stamp your utilization while we're moving on the planner like I was doing or showing you. This is real time, but that utilization routine is able to stamp stuff. So if you want to refer back to what was scheduled, and if you want to look at future utilization as well, and then even you can compare between what was predicted 2 weeks ago versus what it is now, you can use our resource utilization. The problem was in the past that you could only do either weekly or monthly. And the concept here is that a week can spread across 2 months, but quite often you want your resource utilization on a weekly basis. So we were lacking that capacity of doing both at the same time. So now we've introduced that capacity. And from that custom setting called client configuration, you now have another checklist here or checkbox here that's create resource utilization by week. So you can check both now. And let me show you in the environment what's going to change. And this is important to know for the people that are currently using this. If you don't change anything and you don't go and check it, you don't have to change anything. But if you start and checking both, or then you will need to filter out one of the two based on your reports and dashboard. So in this case here in our home page, if you recall, we had that graph. This one is really based on that object called resource utilization. And within that report, I can see that this is the object itself, or resource utilization record that got created. And now we've created a new pick list value for monthly or weekly. So all your previous utilization, if you don't rerun the routine, are going to be to none. And the next one that are going to be generated are going to be either weekly, monthly, and you might have some record that are monthly while you have some other that are weekly. So in specific dashboard, you will want to filter out one of the two so you don't double count any values. but now you can have that visibility on a monthly basis, and you can have that visibility on a weekly basis without any problem, something that we could not do in the past. And this is something that a lot of our customers were asking for as well. We also have in our roadmap, I think it's a future release, a longer future release, but to be able to do by project and by resource at the same time too. So now you still have to toggle either project associated or just resource associated, and there's different use cases. So we might introduce that in a future release as well.
Perfect.
That's it. This was a bit more technical, but very useful when you want to predict or see your future utilization.
Yeah, and we don't talk that often about resource utilization, so it's good that we spend a couple of minutes on it. I just launched a poll because we want to know, as always, which functionalities you're most excited about from the one we presented. So you can take a couple of seconds and just let us know. Otherwise, if you go to the next screen, Yanick, indeed, we've included in his presentation that we share after the webinar, we've included all the other fixes and improvements that are available in this release. Of course, you can see the full list in the release notes, but if you check our presentation, then you can just click on the one that's interesting to you to go directly to the release notes. So a little tip here. And I'm just looking at the results from, there you go.
I'm curious. Which one is on top? Is it yours? Is it mine? Something else?
Yeah. Oh, that the one, the display actual hours on task level is getting some traction, but yeah, the copy pasting is just such a classic one that's getting like half people voting on that one. And of course, if you want to take advantage of all these different functionalities, just need to make sure you go and upgrade after today. So we're expecting a big spike of upgrades tomorrow, of course, Friday afternoon. And yeah, it looks like most people are planning to upgrade. So that's great to know. Thanks so much for sharing that. And these poll results, by the way, you're not doing that for nothing. Like, we look at them and we share with the whole team internally. So it's always good to know which interfaces you guys are more interested in, which features you're most interested in. It also helps us decide like what we work on next. So thanks a lot. All right. Okay, so our next section, product roadmap and ideas voting. So let's have a look at our product roadmap. Every webinar we talk about what's coming on our next release. So we'll continue to do that. Moving forward, though, we'll encourage you to vote for some features. So we'll talk about that after. So first of all, if we look, and this is a screenshot from our community roadmap. If you look at the screenshot, you'll see we've got a couple of things that the team is working on for a next release. Next release should be mid-April, something like that. Majority of those came from customer requests. So we've added in our roadmap those little light bulbs. This means it's coming straight from customer feedback. Most of them from the next release, actually, that's the case. And then if we just go over a couple of things that are coming. So in the resource planner, we're working on hiding empty rows. So today we talked about hiding those rows for time off when there's no time off. So we're working on just cleaning that resource planner so you have more space to see what really matters to you. It's probably going to be a toggle. Filtering by project owner. I feel like in every last release, we've added a new filter slash option there. And then one that a lot of people are waiting for is the preset sharing in Resource Planner. So we already have preset sharing in the workspace. So we'll add it to the Resource Planner so that all those nice views, I know I don't remember which customer I spoke recently that had like 20 presets in the Resource Planner. So definitely waiting for that preset sharing option. We also have linking timesheet split to task assignment schedule. So that should help you in terms of reporting. That's a big one too that people are waiting for. Invoicing. So we're working on flagging invoice when they're done generating. Revenue recognition, some work on there as well. In the workspace, we're working on autosave for when you're typing your text in the RTA model. Default presets as well. That's going to be something useful for if you're using community, for example. And then this next release, maybe there's a little bit less things in terms of features, but we're working on doing a lot of issues fixes. So we just want to make sure the platform works well with everyone.
You need to talk about this one here.
That one is the next week if you want to talk about it, but that's like one after.
It's currently being developed, and this is going to be very useful because it's a new scheduling mode. We've been talking about adding new scheduling mode, and you can still do like hours per week now, but it's a bit more cumbersome. But now you're going to be able to have a new interface for scheduling per week, per day, per month, per quarter. So this is going to be very, very useful across the board. Yeah, again, another ideas and improvement on the resource planner, like we've committed ourselves the last few sessions.
Perfect. And I just launched a poll because, again, we're curious to know which of these upcoming features you're most interested about. So you can go ahead and vote. Some of them, like most of the one we had on last webinar, we actually all release on this release now, but some of them, they're there again. So we're just curious again to see. There you go. Oh, we've got traction for the revenue recognition one. All right. So I'll let people voting and then we can go, to our next screen. So what's this ideas voting thing that we mentioned earlier and we mentioned on the last webinar? So let me just finish this poll. I'm just going to start with a quick question. Before we move forward, let me just go back. Okay. So before we talk about the voting on ideas, we were just curious because this involves our customer community and we didn't really ask any poll on that. So we were curious to know if everyone on the webinar already has a community login. So if you have seen these pages before in these tabs in this view, it means you have logged in. So yes or no. If you said yes, how often do you log in? We're just curious, like, are you there a few times a week, few times a month, or barely ever? Hopefully after today, you're there all the time. And then also, like, what do you do in our community? There's a lot of different things. You may be logging in just to do one of these things. I think people are aware that they can consult like help article, but maybe not aware they can do other things. So we're just curious to know a little bit more. And if I look quickly, like, that's good. We've got really engaged bunch on today's webinar. Everybody already has a community login access. Maybe not logging in that often, but most people, it looks like you're consulting help article and reviewing release notes. Very good. There's other things you can do. So today we'll talk about the ideas tab more specifically. So earlier this month, our team sat down, went through all the ideas that our customers have submitted over the past months. So you may have submitted those via support ticket by reaching out to our support team, or you may have posted those in our ideas section. Then our team scored all those ideas. They went through it. It was quite the work, Yanick, right? And came up with a short list of 20 ideas that we put back on our community. And we also did internal voting as well. So now on our community, we have 20 ideas. And starting today, what we want you to do is you and your team to go log into your community, go to the ideas section, review those ideas and vote for the ones that you want us to work on. You can vote for more than one idea. And if there's an idea you're super into, make sure you invite your colleagues to vote as well. And what we'll do is you'll have 4 weeks to vote for those. And before the next webinar, we'll make sure to review those ideas. And on the next webinar on April 24th, we will reveal which ideas had the most votes. And those will be the one that we will be adding to our roadmap and developing. So we're really looking forward to having this better communication and better alignment with our customers. So we really hope there's a lot of votes coming in the next few weeks.
Maybe invite your colleagues. If this is one of your idea or you really want it, make sure that they have a just right to support@klient.com to get the credentials for those people and have them vote, because the highest one are going to be the one that's being developed. As you saw in our roadmap, we're still developing a lot more than just the one that you're voting on. Those are the one that we were on the fence. So should we prioritize them or not? So yeah, please go vote because you saw that. Yeah, we're listening to you and we're really deploying and developing what our customer wants. This is just going to give us a lot better context and actually what you guys want. So please go vote.
Yeah, and in the meantime, of course, if you have any feature requests, new ones that you're not seeing on that list or you have not shared with us, just email our support team and then it may come in that list in the future. because we will be refreshing this this list every month. We'll remove the ideas that don't have any votes. We'll remove as well the most popular one because they will officially go in our roadmap. And then we may add some of the new requests that we've got in the meantime. So we're really looking forward to that. And by the way, if you are on the ideas page and you share the URL with a colleague and the colleague cannot see the content, it means they're either not logged into the community or they just don't have access. Yeah, they don't have access to the community. So in contrary to like release notes, for example, this link, even if you're not logged in, you can see them. But for the ideas, you really need to be logged in as a community user. So
there's a question from Darren that so it's really now we've removed that button to create new ideas because this is a curated list. Before it was way too long and a bit not aligned. So now we're still, and even more than ever, we're reviewing all those ideas and making sure that we're gonna have a fresh list every webinar. And we keep you updated on those statuses. So please just write to support@klient.com if you have any ideas. Darren, we're not forgetting you for your timesheet notification customization. It's there. It should probably be in the next batches if it's not already here. So we'll be looking at those ideas coming onto support, and we're gonna make sure to develop them. So sometimes we take some complex ones, some that are very low-hanging fruit, very easy. But again, this is there to understand really what you guys want. It's because we think it's a good idea that it is. So you're gonna help us out for sure.
Perfect. And then we've got 5 minutes, so I think we'll just head to our conclusion/best practice. We remind you about these every time, but we've put it in some more organized way. So a couple of things to make sure you do as great client customers. Make sure you upgrade every quarter. If you're not sure when should I upgrade, every quarter is what we recommend. We've included a link on how to upgrade there, accessing release notes, etc. Make sure to check out our new e-learning courses as well that we launched last month. If you click there, you're gonna get directly to our website. It's accessible from resources, e-learning, and then you can start any course. You can copy a link and share it with a colleague as well. For those of you who don't know Isabel, she just popped on the webinar, so you can say hi.
I don't think she knew.
I don't think she did. There she is, if you haven't met her. Also, email or support@klient.com or create support cases directly from client community if you have questions, feature requests. Make sure to book your next quarterly check-in with our customer success manager as well. If you don't know what those quarterly check-ins are, it may be because you have not booked it yet, or you were not invited, but then you can ask whoever was invited to join in. The more people that join these calls, the better. Make sure to follow us on LinkedIn as well. Lately, we've got way more content that we're putting. Actually, I know today we released a video of Yanick, a little spotlight. So be sure to follow us on LinkedIn if you want to see those updates. We tell you as well when we have new features, what's coming up, etc. And then make sure to read our monthly newsletters. And that is what concludes our webinar. As always, we would love to get some feedback on how we did today on the webinar. Otherwise, after today, we will be sending you a follow-up email with the slide presentation, the recording, couple of highlights from the webinar. That's kind of it for today. We'll see you next month for the webinar on April 24th. Anything you wanted to add, Yanick?
Oh, happy spring. That's it.
Happy spring. All right. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Rosalie. Thank you, Isabel.
Bye.
Thank you to our customer.